Hello and welcome back to the final match for today of the World Cup of Pokemon VGC, hosted by Victory Road in partnership with Elgato. My name is going to be Jamie Boyt. I'm going to be joined once again by Costa, and we're going to be going into this game between Peru and the United Kingdom.
Very spicy match between the two trainers, but of course the two countries as well. I am so excited to see this. We've got Mr. Ben, which was just with us a couple of minutes ago, going up against Players Cup champion of the fourth Players Cup, sorry, is there, in a very spicy match with very spicy teams, might I add, Jamie.
It definitely seems that way. So going to just be jumping in to see how the UK are doing against Peru at the moment. And we are currently 1-0 behind. Peru did manage to take that first win there with another mirror. They're going with the Xerneas versus Xerneas, but Gonzalo they're able to just pick out William Tansley.
Yeah, I mean, you got the Zern versus Zern matchup there. It seemed like it may have been a very close one between Gonzalo and Will. A couple of variations, of course. The Dragapult is something you don't commonly see. I think more recently it's been sprouting up essentially with a Groudon team. So quite interested to see Will actually put that onto the team comp there, to be honest. But unfortunately for the United Kingdom and gratefully for Peru, they're able to go and have that 1-0 advantage right now in their match. And what we're going to do is, of course, go straight to player profiles, where we are going to be starting up with none other than Players Cup number 4 champion Renzo Navarro, with that Palkia team, Jamie, escorted by the Incineroar, Tapu Lele, Zapdos, Moondes, and the Stakataka. So Tapu Lele is a bit of a variation there, if I do remember correctly.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice there. You've got pretty much the standard Pokemon that you'd expect to see with Palkia at this point. But Lele, especially over Indeedee as well. Indeedee offers redirection, but you do already have that with the Amoonguss. Tapu Lele offers a bit more offensive pressure. It offers the Fairy typing as well. If you face down opposing Pokemon that are weak to the Fairy typing, you're going to be doing a much better job. You can hit Incineroars a bit better than Indeedee can, because it can't at all. So yeah, it's an interesting adaptation for this Palkia team.
It really is, and it is piloted by a substantially powerful trainer. Renzo, he's also a 3-time regional champion, accompanied by a 6-time special event champion that is of the same level as regionals, might I add, back when we did have the circuit live. So we are going to be going up and showing the player profile right now of his opponent, none other than Mr. Ben Kyriakou right there, one of the most well-established VGC players in the UK and even in the world, I would say personally. Great guy, great player. You see his achievements right there. He's gotten twice top 4 internationals. Back in 2017 was the last one. UK national champion of 2012, 2013, and 7 times world competitor with a very similar team, Jamie, with just one Pokemon different there.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see both these players running effectively the same teams, and Ben is on the United Kingdom, which I am the coach for, and I know that he was actually running the Tapu Lele as well in that Landorus slot, so that was a change that Ben made. We'll have to see if that comes into play at all. It's going to give Ben a slightly better matchup against the Stack Attacker at least, being able to threaten that with a huge amount of damage, but slightly worse against the opposing Palkia, so we'll have to see if that change does come into play here, and whether the Tapu Lele was the slightly better choice. We'll get to see between this effective mirror match between these two players.
Here we go. I am so hyped for this match, as we are going to be seeing it from Renzo's perspective. And like you said, Jamie, there is that one change between the Tapu Lele and the Landorus Incarnate. It all comes down to what each trainer is essentially going to try to lead and think is their best option to try to counteract one another. So how do you feel that the leads will end up coming out from both these trainers?
Going to come down to a lot of how the speeds are being trained as well. Which Palkia is going to be the fastest, which Incineroar is going to be the fastest, whether you get the fake outs first, or you get the parting shot second, whether you've got a Lonely or a Brave Stack Attacker, that will come into play, whether you wanted the attack boosts on the Stack Attacker, but that leaves you slightly faster than the opposing Stack Attackers that opt for Brave and just go for the defense boost. So I think the speeds are going to be very crucial here, especially between something like a Palkia and the opposing Palkia, because you're going to be super effective against each other. Whoever's going to get that first spatial rend off might just win the game immediately.
Yeah, it is literally just down to speed ties, like you said, and how they're potentially trained, of course. We could also have a variation of the items chosen as well on this Pokemon, let's not forget, because it just all comes down to what each trainer configured to best of their advantage and comfortability. As we're going to be seeing the Amoonguss coming out from Ben's side, accompanied by that Palkia, and Renzo has got that Tapu Lele, bringing the Psychic Terrain and the Palkia of their own. A lot of pressure being exerted over on Ben's side right now.
The pressure is crucial. You get to see the speed stats because of that pressure activating, and Renzo's Palkia did activate first, so Ben's is not going to be faster than Renzo's here. Definitely crucial that it has the Amoonguss next to it to be able to redirect, but if the Tapu Lele's faster and the Amoonguss is not able to survive the Psychic move that could come out or hold a Focus Sash, then the Spatial Ren should be able to just follow up into the Palkia as well. So the lead definitely looks like it's in Renzo's favor, but we'll have to see if this Amoonguss is able to do anything. It's able to survive any Psychic move that the Tapu Lele throws at it. That could be crucial for Ben's Palkia getting off an attack here.
And the Amoonguss opting to go for the redirection with that Rage Powder. Psyshock immediately following suit, able to pick up the one-hit KO onto the Amoonguss. There is no Focus Sash or Payapa Berry on that Amoonguss that could have maybe tried to survive that. Oh, and the Palkia Spatial Rend coming out. Another one-hit KO from Renzo's side. So much momentum capitalized off of this lead on Renzo's side. And my word, I'm not sure the game might even already be over.
Yeah, that's not what you want to see in the slightest there. The Palkia at least moving first again, in line with the pressures. So that's two potential speed ties that was one with the Palkia. Maybe Renzo's is going to be faster here, but just a devastating turn one. Losing both Pokemon when you haven't done anything, not even any damage, any supports, any spores. You just lost your two Pokemon. At least with this Tapu Lele being a Choice Scarf variety, it's now locked into Psyshock, so it's not going to do too much to the stack attacker. So maybe you have to just rely on a Hydro Pump miss at this point, because the Landorus is almost certainly going to be the target of this Psychic move. That's probably why it's protecting here.
Yeah, and protecting quite well there. The Psyshock does try to go into that slot. Hydro Pump comes out, and it misses. The Stack Attacker, which opts to go for the Gyro Ball and not actually set up Trick Room right there. It will be able to pick up that one-hit KO onto the Tapu Lele, allowing itself to get a Beast Boost of the defensive variance there. But of course, Renzo, as we do see, is going to be bringing the Amoonguss in. Trick Room would have been good, but Ben, I do believe, did consider the opposing Stack Attacker as well.
Yeah, and now this Amoonguss is going to be able to redirect any of the moves that the Landorus or the Stack Attacker wants to go for. Keeping the Palkia safe, you pretty much just need to land the Hydro Pump at some point, and the either Pokemon here would be knocked out to that move. So missing the first one, so you got to rely on another shaky accuracy here. You could start going for the Spatial Rens at least into the Landorus. Two of them should be able to knock out the Landorus if you don't want to risk the accuracy. But really, you just need to go for Hydro Pump and connect, and you get a knockout.
Landorus moving first, guaranteeing that two-hit KO from what it looks like just about into the Amoonguss. Hydro Pump connects, goes onto the Stack Attacker, and picks up the one-hit KO. Critical hit. I'm not sure if that mattered, of course, as Stack Attacker is not well known for its special defensive bulk, and the Amoonguss just goes for the safest of spores right there, putting the Landorus to sleep, guaranteeing the following turn still being asleep essentially, and this is looking like game one.
Yeah, no substitute coming out from that Landorus does mean it is going to fall asleep to that Spore. At this point, you can safely rely on your Spatial Rens. You don't need to rely on the shaky accuracy of the Hydro Pump. Two Spatial Rens should be enough at this point on the Landorus. But if you do want to go for the Hydro Pumps, you've still got multiple opportunities to be able to connect with it as well, because that Landorus is guaranteed to stay asleep this turn. And even if it decides to wake up at some point, Amoonguss is still there just to redirect. So the Palkia is definitely going to be sweeping through this team. And it just shows how crucial it is how you train your Pokemon, how the speeds interact. Because if that Palkia would have moved second on the first turn, this would have been a completely different game.
It really would have. And we do see the Hydro Pump there finishing off the game for Renzo's advantage there going up against Ben. Like you said, Jamie, it all comes down to the speed training essentially between these Pokemon. Of course, the pressure was all on Renzo's side there as they did have that Psy Shot coming up from the Tapu Lele, picking up a raw KO there. No Focus Sash. Focus Sash would have worked so well there at least to guarantee Ben's Palkia maybe go for a spatial rend of its own to pick up Renzo's, but I think that was just a snowball effect right there. From that turn one, it was just too much momentum from Renzo's side and too little resource for Ben to try to make a comeback.
Well, if you just lose 2 Pokemon for nothing on the first turn, you're effectively playing the match just with 2 Pokemon against 4. So, yeah, that's as devastating of a turn 1 as you can expect there coming out. So, definitely needs to be an adjustment coming out from Ben here. If he leads with the same thing, Amoonguss and Palkia into a Tapu Lele and Palkia again, maybe you're hoping it's a speed tie from the Palkias and you can try and get that Spatial Rend before the Spatial Rend hits your own one. But, yeah, that's a very, very awkward, especially when the Amoonguss is not carrying the Focus Sash here. Focus Sash would have been a really strong choice into the lead of Tapu Lele and Palkia. That means you get your Spatial Rent into the opposing Palkia, even if they are outspeeding you, which does seem to be the case here at this point. So, yes, definitely very awkward, and it'd be interesting to see what kind of adaptations would come out. Because if your Palkia is going to be the slower one, you do want to try and get into Trick Room facing down the opposing Palkia. Amoonguss is the best way to do that, but then if you just face into that Tapu Lele again, you're just going to lose your Amoonguss immediately.
Well, exactly that. And I think at this point, Renzo might be trying to predict Ben's kind of forced adaptation to that lead right now because he's got the momentum. He's got that one game under his bracket right there, be able to feel a bit more comfortable to go for it as we see Ben lead differently with the Landorus Incarnate with the Zapdos, the Cantonian Zapdos against Renzo's Palkia and Amoonguss, actually.
Yeah, definitely an interesting adaptation here for both players. Tapu Lele being left behind here, the Amoonguss being the Pokemon that is led with the Palkia, does threaten the redirection against the Landorus and the Zapdos here. If Renzo wanted to, that is pretty much a guaranteed Trick Room if they just click the Rage Powder and the Trick Room there. But you do feel somewhat safe here to just go for a Spore into the Landorus or the Zapdos. If it is carrying Hurricane, that's going to be a bit shaky accuracy, but it's going to be a Heat Wave here instead.
Heat Wave opting to try to get that bit of chip damage onto the Amoonguss there. Very bulky Amoonguss, all quite weak. Zapdos, well, let's see. Earth Power just missing. Oh, talk about missing. We see Palkia not able to connect onto the Landorus Incarnate there, which would have surely picked up that one-hit KO as the Zapdos is now put to sleep thanks to that Amoonguss's survival there and the Spore.
Yeah, very crucial dodge there for the Landorus. Now it gets off another attack. That could be an attack just to KO the Amoonguss here, but it's definitely not going to be if it's switching out.
And it's going to be switching out probably for its regenerator ability. It wants to try to get that recovery through that switch out, but the Lele is on the field right now. The Zapdos is asleep, so that is really good for Renzo's side of the field. Palkia, for Renzo's side, needs to connect onto the Landorus as the Landorus goes for the Earth Power, hoping to try to pick up a KO on the Amoonguss. Doesn't even do that onto the Lele. Does guarantee 2-hit KO, and Hydro Pump does connect this turn round onto the Landorus, which is going to go ahead and absolutely get KO'd and knocked out of this game 2. So Ben really needs to bring in a good Pokemon to try to counteract this once again hostile and highly threatening lead from Renzo's side.
It's going to be the Palkia, and it is going to be facing down the opposing one. There's no redirection available as well. The Amoonguss is not on the field. That is going to be the Zapdos next to it. So if Palkia is faster on Renzo's side of the field, that is another free Spatial Rend, which will just easily pick up the knockout once again on the Palkia. Tapu Lele is going to be threatening down the Zapdos as well. We'll have to see if that's able to wake up this turn, as it has taken its first guaranteed turn of sleep.
Ooh, Ben opting to go for Protect with the Palkia there, does not want to try to get KO'd at this point or risk a potential speed tie. Psy Shock going and connecting onto Zapdos, nearly guaranteeing a 2-hit KO as the Zapdos unfortunately is still asleep. And Renzo just opting to try to go and pick up that KO just like his Palkia did in that game 1.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's too much Ben can do if the Palkia is underspeeding. Maybe dodge the spatial Rens. That would probably be the only way out of it at this point, if Renzo's Palkia is going to be moving first once again. So we'll have to see if that's going to be the case. The Zapdos is going to take full turns off sleep here.
Very unfortunate as the Tapu Lele goes for the side shot right now, and it does pick up the KO. Ben's Palkia needs to try to beat the speed tie, if there is any, and right now, it has not won it. Spatial Ren comes out from Renzo's side and guarantees the one-hit KO onto Ben's Palkia there. Reminiscent of Game 1, quite detrimental and game destroying essentially from Renzo, being able to outspeed every single time there.
Yeah, the speed training on the Pokemon is crucial. You just have to outspeed by 1 point, and it changes the game this much. Depending on which Palkia outspeeds, pretty much would decide the game. If Ben's Palkia was able to outspeed at all, the Spatial Rem would have KO'd the opposing Palkia and freed up Ben's team completely. But in this case, the Tapu Lele is just going to once again knock out that Amoonguss with the Psyshock and take the game 2-0 for Renzo.
That Tapu Lele put in so much work. It was just so detrimental to the matchup in Ben's side of the field as well, because essentially the Tapu Lele, yes, it is scarfed. It's always going to be outspeeding Palkias, for example. It just threatened too much on Ben's side every single time that pairing was on the field. You just knew there were going to be KOs, as we did see Palkia always outspeed from Renzo's side onto Ben's side there. So it may have not even been a speed tie at all. It may have just come down to the speed training from both sides.
And if your answer to the opposing Palkia is your own Palkia, which underspeeds, you had better be getting into Trick Room. And there wasn't really a way to do that when the Tapu Lele just KOs the Amoonguss in one shot to stop any potential redirection, to allow that Trick Room to get set up. And yeah, it was just how crucial the speeds are. The speed training comes down to these for these Pokemon. I just think it's just incredibly rude that Ben would get this, like, body this hard when I was going to be casting this game.
It's a bit brutal. I know you're his manager, but my lord, that was stone cold there. But yes, of course, we love you, Ben. Don't worry. Huge congrats and props to Renzo right there, showing such a dominant pressure of offense versus Ben, able to go ahead and clinch another win for Peru versus UK, which will be going ahead and pushing them straight up to 2-0 against them, gaining a lot of momentum right now. So UK, if they want to try to be in this still, they got to try to make a push, you know?
It's ours to come back now. We are behind 2-0, so we definitely need to be putting a stop to that momentum, trying to get that push back. But that is going to be it for us for today. That is going to be the final match. Make sure you are coming back tomorrow and the next day. We're going to have 4 more matches across both the Saturday and the Sunday. So definitely come back across the weekend for some more fantastic action for this World Cup of Pokemon VGC.
Thank you so much once again for joining us today. Like Jamie said, please just come back. You are gonna have guaranteed great matches. Thank you as well to Adalto. Once again, we are partnered, Victory Road is partnered up with them. And we just wish you a lovely Friday night. I will be catching you all very, very soon in tomorrow's stream. Thank you very much.